Hare Krishna. So we'll chant the Jai Radha Madhava prayers. You can all repeat after me. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yes, everyone can repeat. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayo Krishna Balaram, Jayo Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jayo Krishna Balaram. Jayo Gauranitai, Jayo Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jayo Gauranitai. Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha, Jayo Ananta Dev, Lakshmi Narasimha, Jayo Ananta Dev. Jayo Srinivas Govinda, Jayo Srinivas Govinda, Jayo Srinivas Govinda, Jayo Srinivas Govinda. Jayo Jayo Prabhupada, 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 Jayo Jayo Prabhupada. Jai Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki, Jai Shri Shri Nittai Gauranga ki, Shri Lakshmi Narsimhadev Anantadev ki, Shri Srinivas Govinda ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Nittai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So today we'll read from the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, text 12. So before we start, please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I'll read the verse, please repeat after me. Ishtan Bhogan Hivo Deva. Ishtan Bhogan Hivo Deva. Dasyante Yajna Bhavita. Dasyante Yajna Bhavitaha. Tairdattan Apradhyayabhya. Tairdattan Apradhyayabhyo. Yo bhunkte stena eva saha. Yo bhunkte stena eva saha. Ishtan bhogan hivo deva. Dasyante yajna bhavitaha. Tairdattan apradhyayubhyo. Yo bhunkte stena eva saha. So we'll read the word to word meaning. So please repeat after me. Ishtan, desired. Bhoghan, necessities of life. He, certainly. Vaha, unto you. Devaha, the demigods. Dasyante, award. Yajna bhavitaha, being satisfied by the performance of sacrifices. Tai, by them. Dattan, things given. Apradaya, without offering. Ebhyaha, to the demigods. Yaha, he who. Bhunkte, enjoys. Stenaha, thief. Eva, certainly. Saha, is he. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Sharna Arvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Read the translation. In charge of the various necessities of life, the demigods, being satisfied by the performance of yajna, sacrifice, supply all necessities to man. But he who enjoys these gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. So please repeat the translation. In charge of the various necessities of life, the demigods, being satisfied by the performance of yajna, sacrifice, supply all necessities to man. But he who enjoys these gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. So I'll read the purport. The demigods are authorized supplying agents on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu. Therefore, they must be satisfied by the performance of prescribed yajnas. In the Vedas, there are different kinds of yajnas prescribed for different kinds of demigods, but all are ultimately offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For one who cannot understand what this Personality of Godhead is, sacrifice to the demigods is recommended. According to the different material qualities of the persons concerned, different types of yajnas are recommended in the Vedas. Worship of different demigods is also on the same basis, namely, according to the different qualities. For example, the meat eaters are recommended to worship the goddess Kali, the ghastly form of material nature, and before the goddess, the sacrifice of animals is recommended. But for those who are in the mode of goodness, the transcendental worship of Vishnu is recommended. But ultimately, all yajnas are meant for gradual promotion to the transcendental position. For ordinary man, at least 5 yajnas known as Pancha Mahayagna are necessary. One should know, however, that all the necessities of life that the human society requires are supplied by the demigod agents of the Lord. No one can manufacture anything. Take, for example, all the eatables of human society. These eatables include grains, fruits, vegetables, milk, sugar, etc. for the persons in the mode of goodness, and also eatables for the non-vegetarians like meats, etc., none of which can be manufactured by men. Then again, take for example heat, light, water, air, etc., which are also necessities of life. None of them can be manufactured by the human society. Without the Supreme Lord, there can be no profuse sunlight, moonlight, rainfall, breeze, etc., without which no one can live. Obviously, our life is dependent on supplies from the Lord. Even for our manufacturing enterprises, we require so many raw materials like metal, sulfur, mercury, manganese, and so many essentials, all of which are supplied by the agents of the Lord, with the purpose that we should make proper use of them to keep ourselves fit and healthy for the purpose of self-realization, leading to the ultimate goal of life, namely liberation from the material struggle for existence. The aim of life is attained by performance of yajnas. If we forget the purpose of human life and simply take supplies from the agents of the Lord for sense gratification and become more and more entangled in material existence, which is not the purpose of creation, certainly we become thieves, and therefore we are punished by the laws of material nature. A society of thieves can never be happy because they have no aim in life. The gross materialist thieves have no ultimate goal of life. They are simply directed to sense gratification, nor do they have knowledge of how to perform yajnas. Lord Chaitanya, however, inaugurated the easiest performance of yajna, namely the Sankirtan yajna, which can be performed by anyone in the world who accepts the principles of Krishna consciousness. The sense of purport. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitan Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So thank you all for joining. And so as I mentioned earlier, we are reading from this third chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The third chapter is known as Karma Yoga. And how did this third chapter begin? Because if you all remember, the second chapter, the title was Contents of Gita Summarized. Right? So the whole contents of Bhagavad Gita actually Krishna explained in the second chapter itself. If Arjuna had no questions at the end of second chapter, he says, okay, Krishna, everything is clear, then Bhagavad Gita would have been over, done. Because Krishna summarized everything. But Arjuna, what he did, and actually Krishna purposely put Arjuna under a spell, just like illusion, a spell illusion is created. Sometimes we go to see a magic show, the illusionist, he creates a illusion. He will distract us, he will hide some things, he will show some things and things like that to make us think in a particular way. In the same way, actually Arjuna was a self-realized soul. There were no questions, for him to be actually asked. He could do his duty perfectly and, win the war and, take care of establishing the dharma. But Krishna purposely took the opportunity and put Arjuna in a mystic illusion. It is a yoga maya. It is not the regular maya where the regular materialists who have no knowledge of self. It is a yoga maya. Krishna created a temporary illusion so that Arjuna will act like a very normal person, not a self-realized person. Why? Because a normal person will have so many doubts, so many questions, and he wants Arjuna to act as a very normal person, ask all the questions, and so that Krishna can give all the answers. And that way this Bhagavad Gita, instead of ending at second chapter, right, it goes through the 18 chapters and gives a complete understanding. So much so that Bhagavad Gita is literally the manual for human life. It is a science of our existence. It is a science of nature. It is a science of creation. It is science of God. It is science of self. This is the only knowledge that actually will help us. A true knowledge which everyone should know. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, this is how Kali Yuga, Kali means quarrel and hypocrisy. When the age of quarrel and hypocrisy advances, the most essential knowledge has become the most optional, right? We all went through so much education. How many of us had Bhagavad Gita study? Unfortunately, no. None of us have. I think nowadays, at least some states, they're introducing Bhagavad Gita in schools and all that. But this is a very essential knowledge. Can you imagine the most essential knowledge not being provided to us? But that is when, Krishna comes as an Acharya. He came as Lord Chaitanya, as a spiritual master in the lineage of disciplic succession. And then he sends great saints like Swami Prabhupada. And that is why we are fortunate again that something that would have been totally forgotten and lost, Krishna keeps reviving it. Right? Just like a license, it expires and then you renew it. So Krishna was very merciful. He gave us this knowledge. So this third chapter, Karma Yoga, as I said, Krishna consciousness, the contents of Bhagavad Gita summarized in the second chapter. But Arjuna asked a very, a very specific doubt, very common doubt. Because generally when people talk about spirituality, and Krishna in the second chapter, he says, I will tell you about Buddhi Yoga. Buddhi means actually intelligence, right? So Buddhi Yoga, and then he says how you should work, how you should be thinking of Lord, and how you should be completely immersed in the service and the thought of the Lord. So he thought Buddhi Yoga was something like an intellectual thing. And then in the end, Krishna again says, that is why you should fight, do your duty. So Arjuna he was confused. He said, what is this, Krishna? You said, it looks like intelligence is higher, right? You said Buddhi Yoga. That means give up everything and be at some level of intellectual platform, like renounce. People sometimes give up everything, they go somewhere. So Arjuna thought, isn't that what intellectual platform is? But again, you're saying I should fight. Then again, you're bringing me down to a physical platform that again doing duty, fight and everything. Then Krishna then clarifies, no, Arjuna, actually one should work. He says, why? He gives multiple reasons. First reason he says is everyone is born with a particular impulse to work. And this becomes very apparent, especially small children when you see in a very kindergarten or a preschool, the free time, play time, you leave them. The children, they don't sit idle. They will all go, and based on their interest, they will do different things, right? Somebody will try playing with toys, try to assemble them. Somebody will do coloring, somebody will do reading, somebody will do different kinds of activities. This shows that, even though the same age group, same age, they're all born, but everyone is born with a different kind of impulse, right? So this impulse, we are all born with, we are carrying from our past lives. So that is why Krishna says, you're born with those impulses. You cannot stop working, you have to work. Now the children who are playing, if you say, no, everyone come back, just sit idle. This is free time, 15 minutes, you all just sit idle. How many of them can sit? Nobody, right? Because there is that strong, inclination, the impulse, which is pushing us to do a particular activity. So Krishna says that is one of the reason you can't stop working. You are born with some impulses. Based on your impulse, you have to work. And that is how we see different career fields, all adults. We see somebody is into medicine, somebody is into engineering, somebody is into law, somebody, based on their interest, right? Based on their impulse. They have a natural inclination towards a particular thing. And then Krishna gives another practical reason. He says, well, without working, you can't even maintain yourself, right? We have to work to maintain ourselves, isn't it? Even the Vedic civilization, there were no software jobs, but still work was needed. Work was very simple, actually. They had to, cultivate some grains, grow some vegetables, and basic society was divided. So work was, bare minimum work was necessary. Actually, Prabhupada used to say the Vedic civilization, here we work 1 year, we get 3 weeks or 4 weeks vacation, right? So we think we are all advanced civilization. But in the Vedic civilization, how many months vacation they would get? They would get like 8 months vacation. How is it? Because growing grains is only little tedious work. 4 months, if they work hard, they get enough grains, they can stock for the whole year. And rest of the year, they just grow some simple vegetables. There's not much work involved growing vegetables. You might see in your yard and garden, sometimes you put some tomato seeds, this, that. They'll just grow. Not much work. Take out some weeds, put some water. And then if you have a cow, as per Vedic civilization, everyone would have a cow also. If you have cow, you're getting nice milk. And whatever your extra grass, this, that, stuff is there, the cow eats it and gives nutritious milk. And with milk, you get good energy, you can make nice vegetables, you can make yogurt, you can make paneer, you can make sweets. So much, right? So just some grains, milk and vegetables, you're all set. 8 months vacation, not much work. So what would people do 8 months? Prabhupada used to say, this Vedic knowledge is given so much so that we can study and absorb ourselves and actually take advantage of the real knowledge, the real purpose of life. Like Prabhupada here one says, that is the real purpose of life, right? Here says, which is the real purpose of life, simply taking here, Prabhupada says, the ultimate goal of life, see, for the purpose of self-realization. So very interesting. Everything is supplied by the agents of Lord with the purpose that we should make proper use of them to keep ourselves fit and healthy. Right? This we are doing. We are taking supplies, we are keeping ourselves fit and healthy. For what? What is the purpose? For the purpose of self-realization. See, this is the important thing. We are all taking care of our health and everything, but what should be our purpose? For many people, the purpose is to become rich, become famous, become millionaire, billionaire, or become beautiful. All these things, But that is not the real purpose, because everything is temporary. The real purpose is self-realization. What will self-realization lead to? Very nicely, Prabhupada is saying, leading to the ultimate goal of life, namely liberation. Liberation from material struggle for existence. So this is our situation. We are all missing the fact that we are struggling for existence. Right? Suddenly news comes, some company laid off so many people. There is anxiety. Oh my God, what will happen? My company, I better perform properly. Right? So struggle for existence. There is so much anxiety. And this anxiety, freedom from this anxiety is what is liberation. Liberation and going to the spiritual world. We talked about it many times, Vaikunta, where there is no anxiety. Right? So that is the purpose. So Krishna says that you have to work, you have to do your duty. And without working, you can't even maintain yourself. And then he introduces the concept how to do your work, not just for sense pleasure. Oh, I like to do something, I will do it. No, he says, Yagnartha karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha. The work that you anyway have to do because you are born with some impulses, because you have to maintain yourself. Now, how this work should be done? It should be done as yajna. It should be done as a sacrifice. Yagnartha karmano. You do your work, karma, but yajna as a yajna. Anyatra, what happens if I don't do as yajna? Why I should do as yajna? Yajna means sacrifice. Sacrifice means what sacrifice? Sacrifice to please Lord Vishnu. That means whatever work we do, it should be utilized to please Lord Vishnu. That is what the whole Varnashrama Dharma is. Right? Vishnu Aradhanam. The purpose of, in the Vedic society, ultimately the practical takeaway of philosophy is to worship Lord Vishnu. Whatever you're earning, Yagnartha Karmano Anyatra, if you don't worship Vishnu with the whatever earning you're getting, what will happen? Anyatra Lokoyam Karma Bandhanaha. You will be bound up. You will be bound up to this material world. There will be reactions. Why reactions? That is where Krishna is further elaborating. Right? That was the 9th verse. Then Krishna says, he goes one step back and he gives a bigger picture. Well, why yagna? Why sacrifice? What is all this? Why, giving something? Why should I do this? And Krishna is saying here, I will just read the translation. In the 10th verse, he's saying, in the beginning of creation, right? So Krishna is saying, in the beginning, when the creation happened, the whole existence came into picture, the Lord of all creatures, that is the Supreme Lord himself, sent forth generations of men and demigods. So he sent everyone, all of us, he sent into this world, because we all wanted to explore this material world. Just like we go on a vacation, we go to a mela, we want to explore. Disneyland, we all go, isn't it? We pay the entry fee, we are very excited. We want to explore everything. All rides, there is a map that is given, there is a schedule of different things. We want to explore, we want to make sure, right? So in the same way, from spiritual world, we wanted to explore, and we came to the material world. And exploration, what was that mood of exploration? It's independent exploration. That is the problem. Exploration is not the problem. Just like you go to the same example, Disneyland, you go with your family, a parent, mother, father, 2 children. Why do they take the children? So that they can have fun, isn't it? Now if one kid says, let's say he's 5 or 6 years old, I want to explore on my own, leave me alone, and he just runs into one side. Very scary, isn't it? You might lose the child may get into any kind of trouble. So independent exploration is the problem. Exploration is not the problem. But what? We are all like that children, leave me alone, Papa, leave me alone. I want to explore on my own. And we got into trouble. Like how? He went somewhere, there is a height check, this, that, so many things, right? If he goes into a ride which is not meant for him, what will happen to him? He'll get stuck. And sometimes, children will start crying. Sometimes we find this, when there is a lot of crowd, even Janmashtami we see here, some children suddenly they lose their parents and they start crying. And then we make announcement, please come and, find your child here. So this independent exploration is the problem. But because we wanted to explore, Krishna said, okay, go. But he created a system so that you can safely explore this material world and come back. Just like, if you have a tag or something, you go here, you can always track and find, right? So Krishna has given a nice mechanism where you can safely explore the material world and come back. So continuing the translation, Krishna is saying that in the beginning of creation, Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of men and demigods along with sacrifices for Vishnu, and blessed them by saying, be thou happy by this yagna, sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you all desirable things. So he sent all the, the men and the demigods also. So what are these demigods? These demigods are actually, Prabhupada very nicely says here in the purport, the demigods are empowered administrators of material affairs. So this is what the demigods is. So Bhagavad Gita, as I said, is a book of knowledge. It's a science of our existence. Very nicely Krishna explains. There is a general misconception that the demigods, gods, they think all gods are one. Because that was my understanding also. And it is a very, reasonable way to think, because God can have different forms. We see, Lord Krishna's, one of the incarnation is Narsimha, half man, half lion. So when half man, half lion can be God, then let's say you go to Ganesha temple. He is a half elephant, half man, right? Why can't he be God? So we understand God can take many forms. We don't see anything wrong. Yeah, all are same God. This is the general understanding we have. That all are same, all gods are, all are gods, just different forms of the same God. This is the first misconception, unfortunately, because we all don't, for whatever reason, the reading of Bhagavad Gita and scriptures has gone down, a misconception has come around. But actually there is a distinction. Though Narsimha is half man, half lion, and though Ganesha is half elephant and half human, right, half man, still they both are not the same. Actually in Brahma Samhita it is mentioned that Lord Ganesha is offering prayers to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord Krishna. So that is what. So the Devatas are actually administrative agents. They're all designations. They're all posts. Just like, we know there is the King Indra, king of the heavenly planets, and the king of the, the Surya or Chandra, or different planets. There are this, the administrative lords of those planets, but they're all actually, agents. They're all working. They're all serving the Supreme Lord. Prabhupada gives a very simple, crude example. Just like, there are different governors, but they're all working under the president, right? Or different states, there are heads of different state, but then there is the head of the country itself, right? So in that way, for one clarification that Krishna gives is that these demigods are not same as me. Krishna very clearly says, Aham Madirhi Devanam. I am actually the source of all the devatas. And then the different yajnas, pujas we do to the different devatas. We think, sometimes you see here Krishna also there is puja, some devata temple also there is a puja. You think it's the same. But no, Krishna says, Bhoktaram yagna tapasam, sarva loka maheshwaram. I am the enjoyer of all the yagnas and tapasya. So no matter what worship you do, ultimately, it is going to Krishna. Sarva loka maheshwaram. All the different lokas. Okay, there is Indra loka, there is Chandra loka. Chandra is God, Indra is God, there you say. But says, no, but all lokas together, I am the Maheshwara, I am the Supreme. So Krishna is making that one point clear to, make sure we don't commit the offense of considering the demigod as the same as the Supreme Lord. It is said that one who considers even, the greatest devatas like Brahma or Shiva equal to Lord Vishnu is as good as an atheist. Why atheist? That is a very strong statement. Why? Because an atheist doesn't know who is God, what is what. This is unfortunately the same platform. If you don't know who is God and who is the demigod, if you consider Modi same as a local governor or a local whatever mayor, it is an offensive thing, isn't it? You don't know the right position of who is who. So that is what Krishna is making it clear, that he is the Supreme Lord and the devatas are the administrative agents. Again, that does not mean we disrespect them. We do respect them, but we should give them due respect, right? Not the absolute respect that should be given to the Supreme Lord. Right? Just like a head of a particular department will be given a particular amount of respect, but not same as the president, right? So that is the thing. And then Krishna further continues, the demigods being pleased by sacrifices will also please you, thus nourishing one another. There will reign general prosperity for all. Now, because the demigods are the administrative agents, what are they doing? Krishna has mentioned, Prabhupada has mentioned in the purport, so many examples. What are the different departments they're in charge of? Everything, all the natural resources, they're controlled by the demigods. Like, here it is said, the heat, the light, the water, the natural supplies, the vegetables, the grains, everything. Human endeavor is not, what is causing the sun to rise on time or the moon to rise on time or the oceans, to create those clouds and rains and everything, right? All this is controlled by different devatas. Now somebody will say, no, it is all nature. You are all just making up that there are different devatas. It is just nature. But when you say nature, what is a nature, right? These are all material ingredients, right? It's working like a machine, a perfect machine. Now a machine will never work on its own. Somebody has to design the machine and somebody has to turn it on, isn't it? Even though the biggest, like I know in Ford, I was in Detroit area, there was an assembly plant. You can take a tour of the Ford assembly line. So it's very interesting. There are a lot of conveyor belts and so many parts will come and they're all arranged. There are so many robotic arrangements. They'll take different parts, they'll put it together and assemble, and actually towards the end, a complete vehicle is assembled and it comes out, right? Now a small child might see, it's all working automatically. Why are there so many employees here, right? So in the same way, but one who is intelligent, he knows, no, behind all this machinery, there are so many intelligent engineers and so many employees, they're working, they're monitoring, there are different stages, there are people monitoring, and there are different kinds of monitoring mechanisms, right? In the same way, why? Because matter never self-organizes. You can leave, a few 100 pounds of metal, aluminium, bricks and stones. You leave them for 100,000 years, they will lie down like that. But 1 year you allow some engineers and construction people to work on it, they can make a very interesting, amazing mechanism which can work, right? So matter doesn't self-organize. So if you see the nature, everything around us, everything is pure matter. What is it that has put it into motion? What is it that is making sure it is working exactly, that is suitable for life to sustain? That little intelligence, little maturity is needed to understand that there is a supreme creator, there is a supreme being, and there are administrators who are doing this. Our own body, if you just analyze, right, it is an amazing masterpiece of technology, of mechanical, civil, and electrical, right? All the nervous systems, the brain and the cells and the signals, it's pure electronics. All our bones, arrangements, the rotary bones, these bones, different kinds of things. They're building robots by looking at the skeleton to see how the arm joint is working, how the finger joints are working, right? So to make a robot, a company like Honda has to employ hundreds of engineers and finally they're doing. But how did this body come about? How did this design? Somebody should have designed, isn't it? If you keep a lump of calcium and organic matter, does it ever become into a human or an animal? So it is little intelligence, little maturity that is needed with the simple concept that Prabhupada used to say, that matter never self-organizes. There has to be an intelligent being to manipulate matter. This simple formula, if we can understand, then we can understand that there is a creator for our body, for our creation, for our existence, for the planetary system, for the whole cosmos. There is a creator, right? And when there is a very huge creation, there has to be a lot of administrative agents, and that is what the devatas are. And now, why this, here actually a very strong word Krishna uses. He says, Yo bhunkte stena eva saha, one who does not offer these sacrifices, he says, one who enjoys these gifts, right? See, in charge of various necessities of life, the demigods being satisfied by the performance of yajna supply all necessities. So all necessities are being supplied by the demigods. But he who enjoys the gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. See here, Krishna is using a very strong word. He's saying, if you don't, all of us, actually it applies to all of us, if you are not doing any yajna, any sacrifice, Krishna is saying, then you're a thief. You're not reciprocating, you're not paying back your tax. Prabhupada gives an example, just like, we have this electricity, water supply and different things that are coming to our apartments and homes, right? Now, if you don't pay taxes, what will we become? Or if you don't pay the electricity bill? Or sometimes in India we can see, or maybe here they're doing, there are the electric lines going on, sometimes they'll do a crude arrangement, they will put a wire and they will try to take electricity from there, very risky, but they will steal the electricity, right? They will operate some whatever electrical devices through that. What does that become? One who has actually signed up for an account and is paying a monthly bill, and one who is just stealing the electricity. Isn't he called a thief? Right? Why is the other person not a thief? Because he's paying for his utilities. So we pay for water, we pay for electricity, we pay for all these things, for water we are using in the local situation. Now, these devatas who are providing all this, are we not responsible to pay them our due also? That is what these yajnas are. That is what this sacrifice is all about. It is basically paying our due, acknowledging that, we have been being benefited by you, and we would like to acknowledge, and by doing this yajna, we're actually kind of paying the taxes, right? And here Prabhupada says, when you do this yajna, who does this tax go to? Generally you pay, to a tax collector, it goes to the central government, isn't it? It goes to the main government. In the same way, all the yajnas that we perform are ultimately going to the Supreme Lord. Now here's an interesting question that could be asked. Now your local government, we are taking advantage of, for example, the road system, right? There are traffic lights and everything. And you're paying your tax. With that money, the city and state is maintaining everything. Now if you're a small child, he says, and asks, oh, Papa, why are you paying this tax end of the year, April 15 tax deadline? He says, no, we use so many things from the government, we have to pay. He says, what are you using? I am seeing the traffic light is working on its own. I don't see anybody operating, anybody turning it on and off. That is again childish, immature, like how we thought. But the father knows, no, I am taking services and the government is providing, so I need to pay the tax. Now here, in our material world, if you don't pay the tax, it is a big problem. Why? How will the government run? Because government also need to employ people and facilitate everything that we are utilizing. But in the supreme government, for Krishna, is tax really needed? Is it that Krishna cannot manage this material world if we don't do yajnas, if we don't do the sacrifices? Right? Krishna is the nice statement in Ishopanishad, Om Purnamaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnameva Avashishyate. Krishna is so complete that if you take a complete whole out of him, still he will be complete. Prabhupada says this is spiritual mathematics. 1 minus 1 is 1. Krishna is so powerful, he can expand, he can give all his energies, and still he will have all his energies. But our government is not like that, right? If you don't pay taxes, if every citizen says, I don't pay taxes, then it will collapse, because it can't function. It needs that resources. But Krishna doesn't need resources. Then why Krishna is enforcing all these demigods, devata, yajna, sacrifice? Actually, that is to inculcate the knowledge of dependence. Remember what I told in the beginning, the independent enjoyment is the problem. The independent exploration is what is causing the problem. We all want it to be independent. We don't want to acknowledge a supremacy. Just like a difference between a criminal and a good citizen. The criminal does not acknowledge the presence of the law. He'll say, I will do whatever I want. But then he gets implicated. Just like the traffic signal, right? It's very interesting. The regulation is what gives freedom. Sometimes people say, oh, this Vedic, so many things, you're regulating, you're restricting, you're limiting our freedom. But actually, if you analyze, regulation is what gives you freedom. I'll give an example. The traffic light. You start driving. If you obey all the traffic signals, you go at green, stop at red, slow down at yellow, you are actually free, isn't it? You can travel the whole country. Thousands of miles you can go. One could say, oh, you're so regulated, so restricted. Why are you following this? Just freely go. What will happen? The first red light, he will brake. Probably in Calaveras Road only, he will be caught and the cop will suspend his license, take away his car. Can he travel the whole country? Forget the country, even Milpitas, he cannot go to the other corner. So what is happening here? The freedom is actually implicating us. But the restricted regulation is actually giving the real freedom. Like for example, we want to go to Moon or Mars, so much, hundreds, thousands, millions dollars we are spending. But you all know Narada Muni, Prabhupada used to say he is a spaceman devotee. Narada Muni travels across all planets, all worlds, all universes. How come? He is completely dependent on the Lord. And what happened when he became completely dependent? He actually got complete freedom. Just like if you become completely obedient to the traffic laws, you get complete freedom to travel the whole country. In the same way, Krishna wants us to understand that we are dependent on him, and if we obey his rules and regulations is when we can get complete freedom and enjoy complete bliss, right? Let's say you have 1 month vacation and unlimited gas supply. You can travel the whole country, see every beautiful place if you obey the laws. But if you break the first traffic signal, maybe the whole month you'll be sitting in the prison, right? So by not being obedient to the Lord, by not being obedient to the laws of nature, to the laws of Krishna, we are actually implicating ourselves. We are actually getting into trouble. So that is why though Krishna does not need, our taxes, our sacrifices, even we offer to Krishna, nice prasadam, this Krishna eating away, he doesn't. Krishna, he is bhavagrahi janardana, that bhava, he wants to see the bhava, he's actually waiting for that bhava, that dependence. And once you acknowledge the dependence, is it that Krishna is like a dictator, very egoistic person? He wants everyone to bow down under me. You are dependent on me, you better realize it and you serve me, right? Actually, no, he is a very loving father. What happens is when you realize your dependence and when you start showing your obedience and dependence to Krishna, you start reviving your original relationship with Krishna. What happens is, because of the independence, we have even lost our relationship with Krishna. Just like a small child, maybe he has a very good loving father and mother. He has fought with them, left them. For many years he's stuck in city. He has forgotten what love is, what real care is, right? He's lost. But somebody says, oh, you have a father, mother, why don't you go back to them? And he starts becoming obedient. By becoming obedient, he will also start realizing the loving relationship, the love of the father, the love of the mother. And that is what Krishna wants us here. Krishna is not like a very, a dictator, autocratic person who wants everyone to be subdued under him. He's a loving father, and he's actually waiting for that loving relationship to be re-established. So we all have lost our dependence on Krishna. Along with it, we have lost our loving relationship with Krishna, and because of which, we are all suffering. So by doing this yajnas, what happens is, we start realizing we are dependent on Krishna. We start connecting to Krishna. We start slowly reviving our lost relationship. And that relationship is Ramante Yoginam Anante. What are the yogis doing? Ramante Anante. Ramante means enjoy. Unlimited pleasure they are enjoying. So when we become dependent on Krishna, when we become connected to Krishna, we will derive unlimited pleasure. More pleasure than any thrill ride, more pleasure than any so-called material experiences. And that is what Krishna wants us to experience. Sukham atyantikam, indriyam. It's saying it is beyond your indriyas, it's beyond the senses. Real happiness is in real relationship. And this has been proved also in the modern world. Stanford University has done 75 years research on what gives a person happiness. They figured out that it is not wealth, name, beauty, fame, strength or anything. They figured out that it is pure relationships. When a person has harmonious relationships with his wife, family, children, friends, he is the most happiest person, even though he is not a millionaire or a billionaire. Or one could be a billionaire and he could be the most unhappy if he doesn't have any good relation. That is why we see sometimes they're taking antidepressants and they commit suicides also. Why? It is that relationship. And the highest and the perfect relationship is with our original Father Krishna, and that will give us the ultimate pleasure, right? So that is why the whole yajna, the sacrifice and the connection to the Lord is established. And now in this day and age, how do we do yajna? Generally when we say yajna, there is a yajna kunda, homa kunda, there is a lot of offerings, a lot of grains, a lot of vegetables, a lot of ghee, a lot of butter, a lot of mantras. Seems very complicated. Actually it is. And in this day and age, it is very difficult to perform. That is why Lord Chaitanya, who is none other than Lord Krishna, just like Krishna came 5,000 years ago, Lord Chaitanya came 500 years ago. Just like Krishna gave the knowledge, Lord Chaitanya gave the easy process of performing yajna. Because what happens when you perform yajna? You're getting connected to Krishna and you're attaining your ultimate goal of self-realization, liberation. And he introduced something called Sankirtan Yajna. In the Bhagavatam it is said, Krishna Varnam Tvisha Akrishnam Sanga Pangasta Parsadam Yagnair Sankirtanair Prayer Yajantehi Sumedasha. Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sanga Pangasta Parsadam Yagnair Sankirtanair Prayer. So he has introduced the process of yajna, which is Sankirtan Yajna. And by performing Sankirtan Yajna, Jajantehi Sumedasha, we actually worship the Lord Krishna, we worship Lord Chaitanya. So Sankirtan Yajna, what is Sankirtan Yajna? Anybody knows what is Sankirtan Yajna? How many kilograms of ghee do we need to do Sankirtan Yajna? 0. How many vegetables do we need? 0. How many gallons of milk we need? 0. Everything 0. All we need is our tongue. Chant Hare Krishna mantra. Sankirtana. Together, if everyone does Kirtan, that becomes Sankirtan Yajna. So that's what we do during Aarti time. We all do nice chanting of Kirtans. We're actually doing Sankirtan Yajna. And when we do Sankirtan Yajna, exactly Krishna is saying, Yagnartho karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha. So we are doing Yajna. We are becoming freed from the bondage of material life. We are getting closer to Krishna. We are getting connected to Krishna. We are opening our channel in our consciousness for the Lord's mercy to flow into us, for us to build our relationship with Krishna, for us to realize the loving relationship of Krishna. And that is when we actually become happy. As I said, the true relationship is what gives us happiness. So I'll stop here. We have a special program today. So we will do Sankirtan Yajna, but not immediately, after around half an hour. 1:30 Aarati, don't miss. Let's all do the Sankirtan Yajna together. And we generally do this Japa Yajna, chanting of Hare Krishna mantra, but we have a very nice drama that we are going to do today. So this chanting is homework for all of you. At your home, you should chant your rounds, okay? And so now there is a very nice drama. It's a very interesting way of presenting a particular incident that happened in the history of India, a Lord's incarnation. So please witness the drama. Prasadam is little delayed because after the